Okay, this is a video on the conditional statement, or just a conditional, which we see for the first time in section 1.4.1 in an introduction to arguments. So conditional is a sentence that has the form if A, then B. So for instance, here we have an example. If Kate is at work, then her car is in the parking lot. And when we have a conditional, we call the first part of the sentence the antecedent, not including the if, but in this example, Kate is at work is the antecedent, and then the second part, not including the then, is the consequent. So her car is in the parking lot is the consequent. Okay, so one thing, and there's a lot to know about the conditional actually, but one good way to start thinking about it is discussed on the next page, and that's to think of it as a rule. So it's a rule that says if the first thing, that is if the antecedent happens, then the second thing, that is the consequent, has to happen. So in our sentence here, if this sentence is true, then if Kate is at work, then it has to be the case that her car is in the parking lot. That's our rule. Okay, so let's see quickly how this works when we have a conditional in an argument. And you'll see a lot of examples in the first few weeks of this course. Okay, so let's just look at what's above the line here. Premise 1, if Kate is at work, then her car is in the parking lot. Then premise 2, Kate is at work. So if we have these two premises, then we can draw the conclusion that her car is in the parking lot, and that will be a valid argument. If these two premises are true, then this conclusion has to be true. Now next, let's not look at that premise and that conclusion, but same first premise, same first premise, but now using these two. So if Kate is at work, then her car is in the parking lot. Her car is not in the parking lot. So if we have these two premises, this and this, then we know that it has to be the case that Kate is not at work. So in any situation where this conditional is true, if Kate is at work, then her car is in the parking lot, then if it's also the case that her car is not in the parking lot, then we know that she can't be at work. Okay, so this argument also, this premise, and this conclusion is valid. Next, and the last thing we'll look at is this argument here, so not looking at these anymore. So, okay, if Kate is at work, then her car is in the parking lot. Premise 2, her car is in the parking lot. Conclusion, therefore, Kate is at work. Now, you might think that if this premise and this premise are true, then this has to be true, but that's not actually the case. Her car can be in the parking lot. We can have this rule in force, but it might be the case that Kate is not at work. Her car being there and Kate being somewhere else is not breaking the rule. So these two premises, our first one and then this one here, can be true, and this can be false. Conclusion might be true or it might be false, but we don't know based on these two premises. Okay, so this argument with this premise 2 and this conclusion is not valid. It might be inductively strong, depends on Kate and facts about her, or it might not be inductively strong, but it's not valid. It is invalid. Okay, we'll stop there. I'll have another video on modus tollens, which also includes a conditional, so you should look at that one also.